you have to know what your sizzle is.
Yeah.
And that's legacy, right?
Okay.
So, getting people to rewire their brains a little bit,
Okay.
and like get this down,
Yeah.
because really there is no other obstacle. The Slice app is as easy as you're ever going to get. The different products that are available, it's a wrap, and there's
Yeah,
no
leads
obstacle
on
on
your phone.
leads.
Yeah, leads on
Like
your phone.
leads on the phone, the direct mail leads. Like we have some new agents. I won't say what company they come from, but they've been with us now 2 weeks.
Okay.
And the first thing they were like, we have never worked fresh leads.
Really?
All of our leads, like we don't even know how to act. Like these people remember filling this card out like
Right.
2
You're not
weeks
having
ago.
to jog their memory.
100%.
Yeah.
And leads are the lifeblood. So there's not a lot of the obstacle is in your head.
Yeah. Okay.
Set your ego aside, learn what the sizzle is here, and go to work.
Fire up.
Welcome, Senior Life family, to another All Fired Up podcast. I'm your host, Will Voorhees, and today I'm joined by Todd. Todd, how we doing today,
Good.
man?
How about you?
Yeah, pretty good.
Good.
So for anybody that hasn't met you yet or heard your story, kind of tell us a little bit about where you've started out and how you got into the final expense industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I live in Northwest Ohio, just south of Toledo, a couple hours. I was actually in our family's door and trim business. I started there when I was 15 years old. I've got an education degree because I wanted to coach basketball, but I ended up working all the way through to National Door and becoming an owner. My dad and my uncle had started the business. So that's where I thought I was going to be for life. But it's kind of funny how things work out. We were actually doing a project for the regional director at Lincoln Heritage, Brad Jennings. And I started doing more and more work with him and being around him and some of his guys. And, I just asked him one day, like, what do you do?
Right.
And so he started sharing final expense, which I'll be honest, at the time I never heard of.
Right.
So, that relationship started getting built a little bit more and more. And I ended up getting my license and kind of doing this on the side because I was still running a pretty large company with my cousin Tom, and we were doing about $20 million a year in sales.
Oh wow! Okay.
120 employees. So a really solid company.
Business, yeah.
So Brad never thought that I would go full time in this, and Will. What I was seeing and experiencing was I was having more enjoyment, more fulfillment, sitting on milk cartons because I work a lot of inner city.
Okay.
Enrolling my clients into the final expense than what I was in major boardrooms, getting big construction projects and whatnot. And, like I said, one thing led to another. Ended up resigning and selling my portion of National Door and Trim, getting into the final expense arena full time.
Okay. And so I guess how old were you whenever you were making this transition?
Yeah, I was 37 when I transitioned out.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. And so I guess just tell me a little bit about that transition. I mean, I know, being a life insurance agent is just a completely different ballpark for some people.
It is. And, a couple of things that stick out is, I've been through the 2008 recession. We had a major tornado come through in 2010 and wipe our buildings out completely.
Oh, wow.
So we've been through a lot of adversity there. And one thing that I started seeing in the final expense side was, it's recession proof. So that was pretty neat to see. So really, getting myself established on the final expense side, and I learned a lot from Brad Jennings, Justin Howard. Justin's still with the company, but what I was seeing on this side was like, we don't have to have those conversations about layoffs.
Right.
And most of our agents, they're out in the field driving, so there's not a lot of overhead for us,
Right.
And I always laugh, agents will talk about, lead costs and like, oh, I don't want to spend money on leads. And it's funny. My dad said, what's what's the biggest drawback with this when I first got in the business? And I said, well, you got to buy leads. And he said, well, what can you make? And I was on like a 90% commission.
Okay.
Which back then I thought that was big time, right? And I think we started that at Senior Life.
Yeah.
Right. But when I shared that with him, he was like, well, we have $3 million of inventory in the factory. Some of that stuff won't ever be sold.
Right.
And you're not worrying about that. He's like, you have to have inventory to run a business. Right. He's like, so your leads are your inventory. So, once I was like, man, you're 100% right. I was like, I'm home free then.
Yeah. I mean, because you're not having to deal with the traditional brick and mortar kind of costs and overheads. So you mentioned that you were with another company. What got you into Senior Life Store?
Yeah, so I went from Lincoln, which I learned a lot there, into the broker space. A lot of the agents in the area that I was working in, Columbus, Ohio, a lot of my good friends were starting to pick up other carriers.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, like I didn't know what I didn't know.
Okay.
I knew at that time that, Senior Life and Lincoln Heritage was a big rival.
Okay.
But I didn't know a lot about the other carriers out there. So I ended up, once I realized, that the chances of me going from 95 to 100, because I did get to a 95 commission level, but how do I get to 100?
Right. What's the next step?
And once I knew that's not going to happen, then it kind of got me looking sideways a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, Lincoln's a good company. I worked with a lot of really good people. I still like those people. In fact, I just texted Justin Howard the other day. Thank you for everything. Him and his wife both, because they'd done a lot for me. But I just felt, if I can't get to 100 and I can't get to 105, I can't get to 110. How am I going to build this thing?
Right. It's time to scale.
It's time to scale, and that's how I think, right? So getting into the broker space, I was able to do that. But then what I was finding on the broker side of things, you lose a lot of control.
Okay.
Because, your agents will have 15, 20 different carriers. So you're 15 to 20 different portals that you better check every single day.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, business is going to get turned upside down quick. That made things pretty challenging.
Yeah.
And then, not having a consistent lead supply for your people made it really tough. So it's kind of ironic. My partner Ricky and I have talked a lot, and we talk about God's timing. Things happen for a reason.
Right.
Just really out of nowhere, Ron and I have been on LinkedIn together for a while, and he had messaged me. I can't even remember. It was on an old LinkedIn account. I can't even find it anymore. But it had to be like 2015, 2016. But he had reached out on my LinkedIn, just asking how things were going. And I messaged him back like, hey, it's great hearing from you. I'm doing okay. Which I think a lot of people in this industry, like when somebody, especially the stature of Ron, if they want to tell them, hey, things are great, like it's amazing,
right.
Like everything's just out of the park, and I was just being honest. It was just okay. It wasn't bad, wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was just okay. And he was like, man, I would, what are your challenges? And well, I was taking 6 to 8 weeks to get people contracted. Leads is an issue. And he said, well, he's like, man, I'd love to meet up. And we actually met up that very next week.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny because we met, and I immediately knew this is where I was going to be.
Really?
100%. And I remember getting back to the hotel, calling my wife, and saying, hey, I'm coming to Senior Life.
So was that here in Thomasville whenever y'all met up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, she was like, are you sure? Like, is everybody, because I had a pretty good sized brokerage, and we were doing between 300,000 to 400,000 a month, and, sometimes more than that. And I was like, I love everything about this. And really the key was My daughter Rebecca she just turned 18, just got her license.
Okay.
And my son Michael is wanting to get into this business potentially as well. And where I was at in the broker space, again, all good people. It was nothing
You wouldn't
about
want your
that.
kids to go into that, though,
Would not
you?
want my daughter in the broker space, nor my son. And really, no offense to anybody, but that's just my personal belief. And she's like, "Well, what makes you say that?" And I said, "Because if something ever happens to me, I know Becca and Michael are going to be with a great company with great people. They're not going to get a free ride,
right?
But they're going to have a great opportunity, and they're going to get led properly. So as long as I have that, it's a wrap." And that's how I feel with Senior Life 100%.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So kind of tell me about your journey with Senior Life so far. I mean, you've built a pretty big team here, and I mean, a great culture too, I might add. I peep into y'all's group me every now and then. But yeah, kind of just tell me a little bit about the group you got.
You know what? It's funny because we had several brokers come over originally, and a lot of them actually are no longer or didn't make the transition over, which is fine. But we pretty much, the song started from the bottom, now you're here.
Yeah,
that was us. We basically started kind of from scratch. And, the biggest thing that Ron told me up front was, he was like, "You got to lead from the front." And I had been out of the field for a couple years.
Yeah.
And, it was just recruiting and training. And I actually told him, like, I'm sitting okay financially. And he's like, you got to lead from the front.
Yeah.
You have to get yourself some leads. You have to get to work, and people will come. And that's what I did. And slowly but surely, we start, bringing in some agencies in Ohio.
Okay.
With Andy Caldwell and his group. Andy and I knew each other back from the Lincoln days. We had a lot of the same experiences. And, he's done a real nice job for us. And then Ricky Ballard in Texas, he and I had been real good friends in the broker space. He was a football coach, and I was a basketball coach, so we had a connection there right away. And basically what I had done, Will, was start looking at folks where our beliefs align. And like Andy's was there, Rick's was there, and I was like, man, let's go to work.
Yeah.
And I mean, we started out not doing a whole lot of production, and we're still not even close to where I was on the broker side, but we're fairly new into this. So last month I think we did around 160.
Okay.
This month I feel pretty confident we're going to be over 200.
That's awesome.
And I feel very confident by January we'll be pushing 500.
Sweet.
Yep.
Okay. And so kind of tell me a little bit about what you're excited for in this venture with Senior Life. Are you going, what's kind of the next goal, I guess?
Well, what we're doing is we're growing. We have leaders now in Ohio and in the Youngstown, Cleveland area. We obviously have leadership. We have some more leadership now in the Columbus area. We have leadership in Cincinnati, and we have leadership in Northwest Ohio.
Okay.
So we pretty much have Ohio locked down.
Nice.
Right? So we have to take care of our home turf first. And with Ricky, he has, really aligned us well in the state of Texas. So we have Dallas, we have Fort Worth, we have East Texas. We have very high quality people there running those agencies. So, in the matter of, I'm going to say a month, we've started 6 new agencies with 6 different managing partners. So I'm really excited about that platform. Just, the thing with us is, with Senior Life is it's not, well, here's our model, take it or leave it. They want to work with you.
Yeah.
And if you have ideas, I would say if anybody has tested Ron on ideas, it's probably me. And he's been so good about everything there. And with myself having ownership in this company as well, I know it's very important that we don't do anything that's going to lose money.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm really excited about the growth in the different agencies that we have. And I would say over the last 2 weeks, we've had some major broker agencies reach out to us and start contracting,
Okay.
which we're now at the point where, and I'll be honest, I've never really been at this point where people are knocking on our door.
Right.
Hey,
Okay.
we want to join you. We see what you're doing. We're tired of this space over here. It don't work. You can't
That's
help
a
but get excited
pretty
about
big
that.
dynamic to flip.
Yeah, 100%.
So I guess for those people coming over, kind of what did you see was your biggest obstacle moving from the broker space, and what have you seen others were, and how would you overcome that? I guess would be the next question.
You know what? I think the only obstacle that I could really think of, and it's up to that individual, is they don't. So a lot of times brokers will say, or anybody that's been in this industry, oh, I know how to sell. I know how to do this. Well, there's some things that Senior Life does that no one else does.
Right.
Okay, and the biggest piece of this is knowing the legacy. Legacy, in my opinion, is the trump card in every home.
Okay.
And the obstacle is getting people to understand, like, you have to know what your sizzle is.
Yeah.
And that's legacy, right?
Okay.
So, getting people to rewire their brains a little bit.
Okay.
And like get this down.
Yeah.
Because really there is no other obstacle. The Slice app is as easy as you're ever going to get. The different products that are available, it's a wrap, and there's no obstacle on leads.
Yeah, leads on your phone.
Leads on the phone, the direct mail leads. Like we have some new agents. I won't say what company they come from, but they've been with us now 2 weeks.
Okay.
And the first thing they were like, we have never worked fresh leads.
Really?
All of our leads, like we don't even know how to act. Like these people remember filling this card out like
right. You're not having to jog their memory.
100%.
Yeah.
And leads are the lifeblood. So there's not a lot of the obstacle is in your head.
Yeah. Okay.
Set your ego aside, learn what the sizzle is here, and go to work.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
Yeah, there is no obstacle.
Cool.
Right?
Yeah. So I guess is there anybody you want to give any special thanks to, any shout outs? I know you got a YouTube channel.
The Turnwell Group, I'm trying to put more and more content out there because that's probably where I learned most of the business. Not that, other guys, I never had anybody ride in the car with me.
Okay.
Like I never had that. And that's not discrediting anybody because like I said, when I came in, I was part-time and everybody there at Lincoln Heritage at that time thought he's never going to leave his family business to come do this. So a lot what I learned actually was from Cody Askins, and Cody and I have been friends since 2015. So I researched a lot and got a lot from him. And, one of my good buddies, Damon Dillard, I would drive 2 hours one way every Sunday night. And he did trainings basically for free.
Okay.
About the business, a lot of goal setting. We talked a little bit about presenting and whatnot, but I would say the guy that poured into me the most was probably him.
Okay.
And he was not my upline or manager or anything like that. Like he gave me a lot of really good knowledge. But as far as shout outs, obviously my wife.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And my parents, and I'll tell you, not just because it's my wife and it's because my parents, but I had to leave our family business.
Yeah.
That my mom and dad, my aunt and uncle had started.
There's a lot of hard work that was put in.
A lot of hard work, blood, sweat, tears, because they started at zero, right? And to have to come to them and say, you know what, there's something different for me out there, and how receptive that they were. They were like, Todd, I remember my dad saying, he was like, listen, we see how happy you are every day that you're coming home, you're talking about the clients, you're talking about, the company, you're like, we get it. You need to go do your own thing. And, my dad said, he was like, listen, your mom and I don't care if you ever become rich in this industry. And he's like, even though I think you probably will. But he was like, as long as Carla and the kids are good and you can take care of them, it's all that matters. And I remember coming home and telling my wife, hey, I'm going to go jump in and do this full time. Because sometimes you'll hear, Will, and I'm not sure how much time we got here, but I think this is important. So you'll have people say, well, I'm making X amount. I don't know if I can come on full time. Well, I can't give up, my hourly job to do this. I would say I would put what I was making in the door and trim business up against anyone in the company.
Okay.
And compare those on what I walked away from, right? Where I knew, I could sit in my office and I knew it was coming in.
Yeah.
Right? Money is coming.
Right.
Right? That was not an issue. But I remember telling my wife, this is what we're doing, and there are no guarantees. Like Brad Jennings did not guarantee, Justin, those guys guaranteed me nothing. They said, here's the presentation, here's the leads. Good luck.
Yeah.
In so many words, right?
Right.
And, what she gave back was, hey, I know you're happy doing this. I know we can make it. I know you'll do a great job. And that's what you want to do. Let's do it.
That's
there was
awesome.
no panic. There was no panic from anyone. And we had a nice home. We had a lake home, drive nice cars, and we rolled on. So definitely thanking them.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, if it wasn't for Brad, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Right.
And Justin from the beginning, Justin was very hands-on in trainings, and I remember thinking, I want to be like him.
Yeah.
He's going all over in Ohio. He's going to Indianapolis. He's going to Florida doing trainings, and people really gravitated to him. And and that's why I messaged him the other night. I'm like, dude, I'm doing what you're doing, right? I'm going all over in Ohio. I'm going into Texas.
You're down in South Georgia right now.
South Georgia, which, man, I love this area. So definitely want to thank those guys. And, I was in the broker space with IFG. They treated me just fine. I've got no issues there at all. But probably some of my biggest thank yous are to the Powells.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I literally every morning, I ask God, why did Ron choose me? And people ask that all the time. Well, why did he choose you? I have no idea. He needed a guy for the Midwest, and I guess I fit the bill. But I literally thank him every single day, either verbally or to the guy upstairs. Right. I just think the world of him, so I can't thank him enough. And Robert Shiver, I've learned so much from him. So, just thanking the guys that have put senior life where it is. A big thanks to them, and obviously my partners. Yeah. Ricky Ballard, Andy Caldwell, and all the guys that they're aligning me with. And you had mentioned culture. I think that's why we have such a great culture, is there's a lot of mutual, we don't always get along. We always, we'll have some turbulence like everybody does.
Yeah.
But as far as the mutual respect and the philosophy of everybody winning, it can't just be, and that's how Ron is. That's how Robert is. And taking that same mindset when you build your agency, sometimes you got to be a hammer, and that Ron can be a hammer.
Yeah.
He definitely can. But what he's doing is trying to make
build
the leaders stronger. So I've got a lot of gratitude towards a lot of people, but ultimately it's got to be to those guys and what they've built here.
Awesome. Well, Todd, I just want to thank you for joining us today. And I want to thank everybody watching at home. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll see you next Friday for another All Fired Up.
Fire up.